There is an apparent update to the Nintendo lawsuit. Thus far, what I am aware of is Nintendo put in a lawsuit against Palworld. It was not originally clear what they were suing for. So thus far, what I know about the Palworld lawsuit is the lawsuit was put against Palworld by Pokemon for not trademark infringement. Patent infringement, but it was not originally known what the patents were for. Later on, it was sort of discovered that they had put in sort of post hoc patents for throwing the ball and a couple of other mechanics. And thus, other than that, I have like absolutely no idea what has gone on. I don't know this update, so Mudahar's gonna tell us. But hi, YouTube. You should subscribe. I'm trying to get to 50K by the end of the year, and I've kind of boned myself because I didn't stream or make any content for a little while. But if you want to subscribe, it'd be great. And let me know what you think down below. And we're gonna get into this insane Palworld lawsuit update. Subscribe! And now, a message from our sponsors. This video is sponsored by Surfshark. Whether you're worried about the security of your data or just want to watch Cowboy Bebop on Netflix, Surfshark is the choice for you. The internet is a dangerous place these days, and there are plenty of people waiting in every dark corner to steal your passwords and your information. On top of that, some shows and movies are just not available to you simply based on where you live. Surfshark's VPN removes both of these problems, giving you the gift of online security and privacy, as well as the freedom to reach 3,200 plus servers in 100 different countries. I personally use their VPN to securely connect to a server in Japan and binge watch all 26 episodes of Cowboy Bebop on Netflix. Surfshark isn't just a VPN though. They also have antivirus, a data leak detection system, a private search tool, and more to come. The best part is you can try Surfshark today free simply by using code HexJuice at surfshark.com. Don't risk another second browsing unprotected and go to surfshark.com now.
Tells me, Mudahar, and there's an insane update to that Palworld Nintendo lawsuit. Now, I told you after I looked at this thing like 4 months ago, I was going to be keeping an eye on it.
Yeah.
And today, there's been some pretty massive updates, and it's to a point where we now know exactly why Nintendo is taking down the old Palworld train.
Oh, and to be clear, the amount to which we knew what the patents were was because people had found I believe the application for the patents and the patents being approved, but it wasn't like we hadn't seen that in the actual lawsuit anywhere.
Now, to give an idea, Palworld is an independent game that was released about a year ago by Pocket Pair, and it's effectively a game that is just literally Pokemon with guns, okay? And to give you an idea...
That's fair to say. I understand why people say that, but I think it's more like Ark with Pokemon with guns. I think when you say Pokemon with guns, it seems like it's a lot more like Pokemon than it actually is, and it's not. Thank you guys for the resubs, by the way. I really appreciate it.
Idea of how much of a comparison it is. Nintendo may use the statement I just gave in an actual legal case, because quite literally, if you play Palworld, it is just the Pokemon IP with guns attached to it. Now, it's not to say it's a bad thing. Plenty of people enjoyed it, me included. Plenty of other gamers out there. Plenty of other content creators. It is, in fact, a game that now has come out on PlayStation, Xbox, and people are just actually enjoying it. Now, with all of the people enjoying Palworld, it's no doubt in my mind that obviously it is pretty close to Pokemon, okay? I mean, you've got some
Am I coping? Because, I trust Mudahar's judgment on things so much, but, I don't think at base that Palworld is that similar to the Pokemon games. I think that obviously the character designs of the IP, I understand that comparison. But the actual gameplay, I don't think it is fair to call it Pokemon with guns when the gameplay is realistically so much more than Pokemon's. And again, if you don't know this about me, hi, my name is HexJuice. I was a full-time Pokemon streamer for almost an entire year. How am I still sane? That's a secret. I'm not, but I do have a degree in Pokemonology. And personally, I don't think that the actual gameplay of Palworld is similar enough to Pokemon to say that it's just Pokemon with guns. I think that is very reductive. But I don't know if that's because I'm a little bit of a Pokemon hater. I don't know.
Similar looking mons. You've got the entire concept of us throwing Pal balls at Pokemon and capturing them with, shakes, 3 shakes, guaranteed capture, and whatnot. So obviously, Pokemon has been making games with kind of similar, mechanics, like the Arceus Legend game, and even like the new Pokemon Violet Scarlet with like its more open world design. Even though the open world looks like it's straight out of 2002, but
As someone, again, I have like 900 hours in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Ass. It's like, I don't know. I just don't, I don't know why I'm so bothered by it being like Pokemon. It's just Pokemon with guns. But like, if we're comparing like broad strokes, like yes, open world, yes, similar. We're comparing broad strokes. Yes, you catch the Pokemon. Yes, it's similar. But the gameplay is so much better in Palworld. It's so much better in Palworld. The Pokemon games are so ass. And it's so much better. Like, it's so much less buggy and shitty. And it looks so much better. It's so much smoother. It's so much more fun. Like, I just don't think it's fair to say.
Hey, that's a whole different story. Now, here Pocket Bear comes out and it's like, boys, on September 19th, Pokemon Company and Nintendo files a patent infringement lawsuit. Now, a patent infringement lawsuit is basically some type of gameplay or technology that has been discovered by any company that has effectively been patented, so only they, for a certain period of time, can use.
Oh, and there's not turn-based combat. But there's no turn-based combat, right? It's action-based combat. It has way more detailed in terms of like other things you can do. In Pokemon, the things you can do are you can do the story, you can catch Pokemon, you can breed Pokemon, and you can build Pokemon. Where like in this game, there's like a ton of survival mechanics. There's a ton of building and crafting and stuff. I don't know. I understand that the IP is behind it, but the thing is, Quartz, is the reason why the argument about the gameplay matters is because we are talking about patent infringement, not copyright infringement, right? That's why it's also additionally bothering me. We're not talking about them suing for copyright infringement because then, yes, the IP is an important part of that conversation. They're suing for patent infringement. So the gameplay is actually an important factor, objectively speaking.
Use that technology in their video games. So, details of the lawsuit. The plaintiff claims that Palworld, released to us on January 19, 2024, infringes, well, actually, it wasn't even a year ago. I actually thought it was a year ago. Time does fly. Infringes upon the following 3 patents held by the plaintiffs, and they're seeking an injunction against the game and compensation.
When we talk about these patent application and registration dates, you're going to lose it, dude. Anyone who is not a mega super Pokemon Nintendo Game Freak glazer, you're going to lose it. The dates on these are crazy. I remember because this was like, people had talked about this. It just wasn't necessarily confirmed in the lawsuit.
For a portion of the damages incurred between the date of registration of the patents and the date of filing of this lawsuit. So, if you look at the actual patents over here real quick, they've got 3 different patents, number 7545191, 7493117, and 7528390. Now, I've pulled up each one of these patents, but they also provided the application dates and, of course,
But providing the application dates, honestly, bad move on their part. When did Palworld release? Palworld released on January 19th of 2024, this year. January of this year. Look at those patent application dates. That's sus.
registration dates. So if you look carefully at these dates, they're past, the actual game's release. So you might be like, whoa, how the
He did have that highlighted before. I'm just dumb. I'm sorry. It's not my fault I have ADHD, and if you get mad at me for it, it's because you're an ableist. So I'll cancel you on Twitter.
fuck can you patent something after the game that you're suing has been released, okay? How can you patent something after it and then sue them for damages before the filing of that patent? Well, to give an idea, I've pulled up each and every single one of those patents real quickly. So right over here, you can basically Google this up on Google Patents, and they'll tell you every single one of these available. Now, if you look very carefully, they've actually been patents that have been applied as of 2021. So each 3 of these patents has an actual application in 2021, where the legal status is active for all of them. So these are more patent updates, I believe, rather than like fresh new patents. If these were fresh from the actual patent oven, then obviously we would probably look at this and say Nintendo's just overextending. But clearly,
see, this is what I've been talking about, where people misreport shit and then everybody looks stupid. Because the way that it was reported was, oh my God, look, Nintendo they literally only ever did the patents but after the Palworld came out. It's so sus. They were updates. I didn't know that, and now I look stupid because I didn't look into it enough. That's my bad.
Clearly, they had these in place. So I wanted to look at some of these actual patents real quick and look at exactly what Nintendo is going for. So for instance, in patent JP754519-1B1, it's going for a game program, game system, game device, or a game processing method, okay? So the abstract. The problem is to provide a game program, game system, game device, and game processing method that can cause a player character to perform various types of actions on a field in a virtual space.
Okay.
In a first mode, the aiming direction of the virtual space is determined based on the second operation input, and the player character is caused to fire an item that affects a field character arranged on the field in the virtual space in the aiming direction based on a third operation input.
So aiming a Pokeball and throwing it, and then the other character being affected by it? Can you copyright? Can you patent some like that even? That feels like you're literally just saying like that's like a grenade or a flashbang or something. That's really broad.
So it sounds kind of confusing in a way, so they provided some visual explanations for this entire scenario, right? And obviously, if you look at these patents, it's kind of what people speculated back in September, right? They were probably going for the whole Pokeball situation, which is where your character gets ready in the wild, throws the actual Pokeball at the field character, which is a Pokemon in the wild, captures said Pokemon with that actual Pokeball, all right? They even get like a little visual response that says, "Good job, pal, you did it!" Or the Pokemon escapes and you're basically So obviously,
I feel like it's kind of insane to patent something like that. That's so broad. Can be used on Counter-Strike grenades. Like how, like, yeah, genuinely though, right? Most like, that's insane. That's crazy.
see, the further you go down this patent too, we're looking at even battles that are happening in the wild and Pokemon that appear to also be on your side.
Yeah.
And of course, the further we go down into this scenario, you can start to look at other actual situations. So then you look at the other patents in this case, right? Which again, simulating properties, behavior, or motions of objects in the game world. For example, computing tire load in a car race game using determination of contact between the game characters or objects to avoid collision between virtual racing cars. And for the next one over here, obviously we've got computing the motion of game characters with respect to other game characters, game objects, or elements of a game scene. For simulating the behavior of a group of virtual soldiers, or for pathfinding, basically, I guess, bots that appear to follow you in the field, your player character. So you
What? How can you copyright any of, like, or patent, sorry, I keep saying copyright. How can you, I feel like, okay, I understand that you could. Doesn't that mean that Nintendo could, like, sue, like, a billion, trillion, gorillion people? It's, like, so much. That's so much. That's so much. Like, those are so broad. That's crazy.
can have a Pokemon effectively trail you. Now, the way that I have seen these kind of provided is like, if you want to even apply these to like actual gameplay terms and not legal patent terms, basically it appears that you're talking about throwing a Pokeball into the wild to capture another Pokemon or field character. That's one of the actual patents.
Right.
The other one is throwing a character outside into the wild so they can then participate in the fight. And of course, last but not least, apparently
It means you could sue Wuthering Waves because you throw out your echoes to fight for you too. Like you could sue like a gorillion. Like there's so many games that do that kind of stuff. That's insane. I feel like I don't understand, to be honest. We don't catch them with balls, thankfully. I don't think it was specified that it had to be a ball. Dude, I don't know, man.
even mounting a character for a specific zone. So if you wanted to fly on the back of a Pokemon, you can do that in the wild. Now,
Right.
I think patents in video games are a little absurd. Okay, the first two, throwing a Pokeball and using it in the wild, I'm sure Pokemon probably has some claim to that, or maybe they can talk really heavily. But mounting a character and like using it for transportation, I mean, dog. This is something that World of Warcraft provides its gamers like every single day. They've
I mean, how many games have mounts? That's like, that's crazy.
been doing it long before Pokemon even had the idea in 3D space. So at this moment in time, to me, it seems like a lawsuit that's targeting a smaller company. And I'm sure that if they really had a problem with this, they might even consider taking Activision Blizzard or Microsoft. Until you realize that Microsoft is worth like over 10 times what Nintendo is, and even Activision Blizzard is no small company to go up against when it comes to lawsuits. So again, it really feels like we're targeting the small fries here. So again, when it came to the summary of the claim, what they seek for is a payment of $5.
I guess my thing is, for me, the reason it's just like the act of being able to patent things like this feels like really dangerous. How quickly could you gain a monopoly just by patenting a bunch of shit that you do in your game that is like basic gameplay mechanics? Like that's really you know how YouTubers sort of have a social contract where you don't use the copyright system to silence people because if everybody does it, then it like everybody will just be do you understand? It's like technically speaking, yeah, you can copyright claim like anything on the internet, right? But there's sort of a social contract between YouTubers because it's not right. It's a disrespectful thing to do. It sort of breaks sort of respect between content creators and makes it fair game if everybody just does that, which is why, like, technically speaking, yes, you can copyright claim stuff, but also, technically speaking, you're a ass and nobody will like you afterward. That's kind of how it, like, this is like a kind of a weird sort of comparison, but that's how it feels to me where, like, maybe you can do these things, but it doesn't mean that you should because it hurts everybody by doing stuff like that.
Million yen plus to the Pokemon Company and also to the Nintendo Company. Now that's around $45,000 like Canadian. So again, multiply that by 2, you're looking at like maybe I want to say 60,000 American, 65,000 around that point. And you might be like, that's really not a whole lot of money. Surely Palworld has made more than that. They clearly have. And the thing is, it's not even the money that's the important part. It's this, an injunction against Palworld.
Yeah.
Now, because these are two Japanese corporations that are going against each other, an injunction could mean a lot of things. They could literally go up to Palworld and say, hey, listen, that whole like throwing the Pokeball mechanic, we want it gone. And that would be kind of devastating because it's an incredibly important part of the Palworld game. Like, imagine if, Konami, when they were releasing Metal Gear, decided to, I guess, patent the idea of field of vision cones. Like, imagine the Soliton radar system with, like, all of the actual points, like the
Well, imagine if, like, somebody patented the concept of having a mini-map. That's just insane. I don't know. I feel like it reflects so poorly on the ethics of a company to even be willing to do something like this. And it reflects on what, because they could just sue everybody for some of this stuff. But they don't because they're not, like, World of Warcraft doesn't threaten their bottom line. You know who does threaten their bottom line? A game that does Pokemon better than Pokemon does.
Actual, cone of visions on people. Imagine if they patented that and, you had other game developers jump in, like stealth action game developers, people like Splinter Cell, they're like, we want to put in a map with cones of visions, and they decided, no, we want all of this gone. Imagine if you were actually targeting situations similar to it. I mean, it would be absurd, but when you kind of really think about it, it's pretty comparable to what Nintendo has done in this scenario.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, Palworld, they're going to fight this through legal proceedings, and I think the actual first case is going to be like next week, which is going to be insane to witness. Obviously, I want to converse with Japanese lawyers that probably know more about the situation as it happens. Obviously, I'm talking about like the translation issues.
In my chat, this is a random question. Put a 1 in chat if you're like, yeah, Nintendo should sue Palworld. Put a 2 in chat if you think they're scum for that. I'm just curious if I have a good chat or not.
Just because this is a Japanese case and having it translated
Thank you so much.
Basically in real time is a pretty daunting task. Now, again, anything legal that I've said in this video, I don't want it to constitute as actual advice or understanding. I'm a idiot. I'm a cybersecurity guy. Clearly, this is incredibly complex Japanese patent law, and whether Nintendo wins or not, it's entirely up in the air. Obviously, Nintendo is one of the biggest companies in Japan, and I'm sure that comes with a bit of legal favoritism in its regard. But look, this is a situation that, from what Nintendo is showing, is just, it appears literally to be bullying. Now, obviously, Nintendo, in my opinion, I think they're bullying these guys, but clearly, Palworld, Pocket Pair knew they flew way too close to the sun on this one, okay? Like, it's one thing to make a ripoff of, like, a Legend of Zelda type game. It's another thing to go after the throat of Pokemon, one of the biggest media franchises in gaming, if not the world. So yeah, this is not something that I expected. It's not something that I didn't expect to see. It's glad that we've got some light shed on what the actual patents were. And now that we know, it just shows Nintendo as one of the pettiest companies in this regard.
The thing that's so sad about it is the reality is the concept of like the monster catcher has so much more potential than has been explored by Pokemon. Infinitely more potential. Like they only just, I think, in the last game made it possible. In the last game, in the second DLC of the last of Scarlet and Violet, was like, I believe, the first time they ever made it so that you can inhabit the body of a Pokemon and run around as them. Which is like, when you think about it, isn't that so insane that it took so long to integrate something that is such an obvious thing that you would do in a game like that? Like, that's crazy. And so the thing is really what it is like, it would be so easy to do Pokemon better than Pokemon does it. Like, crazy easy. Because the Monster Hunter genre is not explored well or innovated upon by Pokemon, basically, at all. Yeah, and that mechanic sucks. It's not even fun to do. It's, like, completely useless, basically. It sucks because what this does is it prevents innovation of anyone in that genre. And, like, the thing is I love that genre. The problem for me is I love Pokemon. I love the concept of hunting and taking care of and working with little guys. The Monster Hunter genre will always be, like, one of my favorite genres ever. I've loved Pokemon. I will always love Pokemon. At the core of what it is so fun and so cool. And the fact that they are working so hard to slap down anyone trying to innovate on that genre because it'll make them look bad makes me legitimately sad, because I like monster collector games. They're so fun. But like, Pokemon gets to keep its, like, how special it is. Like, it's specific place in history, because it's the only one that really does it, because they do like this where they bully people out of it, and they prevent the industry from taking what they've made and running with it and making new things. So it's just really sad.
And look, if they're hitting so specifically, it explains why Nintendo hasn't even touched, other publishers or other games like Temtem in this case, even though they also kind of ape that Pokemon dynamic. It's because they literally felt that, at least in 2 of the patents, it's pretty damn close. But if we're talking about mounting animals, why are we not mad at World of Warcraft? Hell, to be honest, why are we not mad at World of Warcraft for even the Battle Pets mechanic, which was introduced
Literally
well after Pokemon was already patenting it, from my understanding? Is it that they don't want to take on Microsoft's legal team because they know that's absolutely a lengthy battle that Nintendo probably doesn't want to add to their actual expense sheet? Or is it going after Pocket Pair to make an example out of a smaller developer trying to, work with these ideas? And
No, it's absolutely making an example. They keep those ridiculous patents for that reason. That's a little thing that they keep in their back pocket to fuck with the industry and to keep people afraid of stepping on their Nintendo Pokemon turf. Nintendo Pokemon Game Freak, because technically, guys, I know Game Freak's technically the one that makes the games. But yeah, no, that's absolutely what it is. They keep these patents, these ridiculous patents that they absolutely, I don't think, should be allowed to patent, because what the fuck are you talking about? Like, mounting is like a special Pokemon thing. They didn't even start mounting until like the most recent, like some of the most recent games, especially not in a 3D space. Like, God damn, that's so stupid. But the point is it is meant to, it's meant to keep people afraid and keep people away from their little Pokemon turf. And it's up. That's gross. And like, the thing is whenever I do a game, anything about Pokemon, I always have some meat writers come in and be like, no, Pokemon is the best. They deserve to do whatever they want, blah, blah, blah. This is bad for you too. You understand that, right? Because when there's competition, it breeds innovation and making better products for better prices. When they get to prevent competition and scare away competition and intimidate competition like this, you get games. You understand that, right? Do you want Pokemon games? Because let's be honest, the last couple Pokemon games have not been very good. They've been all right. It's so tiresome.
Even to like Pocket Pair, they're not people that will sit down and tell you, we made this game, completely independent of like Pokemon's inspiration. I mean, these people literally produced a game they thought would be an amazing, combination. Pokemon with guns. Clearly it was. It sold a lot.
It did.
And so great. I guess Nintendo missed out on the gravy train, and boom, now they want to actually punish the people that are providing the fans, the ex-fans of Pokemon, I guess, or people that want, the Pokemon company to actually produce good games. They're going after people that are providing the gamers with what they want, which I think is...
There's another game that could potentially sue Palworld for for patent infringement, right? Because Palworld, in terms of actual literal gameplay, is significantly more similar to a survival game like Ark or like Rust, kind of a little bit too. Those games could very easily also sue them for patent infringement. But you know what? A lot of people who liked Ark were just really excited for Palworld because they got something that they already liked, which was the survival style game that they enjoy with Ark, plus little Pokemon guys. They were excited for it. They didn't go, but you're stealing from my game! You're stealing! You're plagiarizing the game I like! It's the same! They went, oh, cool. I get to play Ark, but like with little Pokemon dudes. That sounds sick as. That's kind of the thing is, Pokemon doesn't have to be the only thing that ever does like the Pokemon thing. Just like Ark doesn't have to be the only thing that ever does the Ark thing. Not that you'd want it to. Ark was kind of crappy from my understanding. But, you know, it's just sad. It's just sad. The way that people approach this conversation is really, really sad. Especially Pokemon fans. Because, like, what Pokemon fan doesn't want more of the Pokemon stuff? Like, that's crazy to me. That's the thing that gets me about it. Is like, why are you, as a Pokemon enjoyer, not excited for more stuff like Pokemon with, like, different mechanics, with different gameplay? Like, you should be excited. That's exciting. That's awesome. That bothers the fuck out of me.
Is just absurd. Honestly, reading all of this and realizing patents in general for video gaming, you know, it just comes across as some of the most destructive. It's literally preventing actual progress in gaming from kind of happening, in my opinion, in some cases at least.
100%.
You know, when you talk about like evil corpo, this is literally what it is. And I think, to be honest, like another reason why I feel Nintendo really went after them is kind of because of, you know, Pocket Pair's insistence on working with Sony, another direct competing, console manufacturer in the region. I'm not even including Microsoft in this because really Nintendo is going up against Sony. And I think, honestly, it feels like kind of a slight. It's like Sony has literally taken this mature version of Pokemon and have turned it kind of into their household name, at least from the, you know, association business-wise. So I feel like there's a lot of stuff at play here. And to be honest with you, it's just kind of gross to see corporations kind of doing this in the way that they do it. You know, I always think that when it comes to competition, producing the better quality, the most, you know, the prized game that people actually want to go for should be the standard. And yes, Palworld flew way too close to the sun. But I honest to God don't believe that the market that is playing Pokemon with guns, you know, it really is a missed opportunity by Nintendo. It really just feels like salty stuff. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Mudahar, and if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.
Thank you, Mudahar. You're very poggers. Okay, so I don't know. I guess, hey, that's how misinformation is spread, because I thought they had only ever filed the patents after Palworld was released based off of information I had seen on Twitter, and that's why we don't trust Twitter information. The joke's on me. I'm the idiot there, right? I didn't do my own research. I also don't really know how to look at patents, and, well, now I know. That's kind of sad on my part, though. I feel really bad about that. But, yeah, this is just corporations doing corporation shit that I don't approve of. Yucky. Don't like it at all. If you're a Pokemon fan, you should probably want more Pokemon stuff. It's very cool. Pokemon is neat. It just always makes me sad. And I'm a little bit of a Pokemon Nintendo hater, but the thing is I've been playing like Pokemon TCG Pocket like crazy. So it's like, do I really have any values, or am I just like a capitalist, consumerist pig? Who knows? It doesn't matter. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe. I am trying to get to 50K before the end of the year. And I'm back. Hello, hello. I hope you're having a good day. Love yourself. Drink water. And please wash yourself with a washcloth and not just your hands. I'll see you later. Bye!